Hey, what's up guys? It has been a bit, but I am back with another RLCraft video. I felt like starting my year off by answering one of the most asked RLCraft questions ever. Where's the best place to get good enchantments? There are so many structures in the world and some don't know where to look. Well, I got you covered in this one. Let's get right into the best ways to get enchantment books and gear in RLCraft. The best way to get enchanted books is by looting them from various structures, and I'm going to show you 9 of those said structures right now. 4 safe and 5 unsafe. I'm going to start with the safe ones though. The first location is a library. You can find libraries in villages, but from my experience it's only around a 1/3 chance for a village to have a library in it. If you are lucky enough to get these consistently though, there are 4 chests inside the structure, all filled with useful enchantment books and often enchanted items that range anywhere from having aqua affinity and lure to having advanced protection and upgraded potentials. These chests can have pretty much any enchanted book besides the supreme ones from my experience. Safe structure number 2 of 4 is an underwater glowstone shelter. These are amazing for getting netherwort, glowstone, runes, and enchanted books. Similarly to a library, you can find amazing enchantments in here. Unlike a library though, these enchantments truly are random, still excluding supreme enchantments though. Libraries and villages tend to have a higher chance of getting vanilla enchantments such as protection, depth strider, and mending, but these underwater structures tend to have completely random enchantment books, so if you get lucky you can get a god tier book out of any of the 8 chests. It all comes down to RNG. Next up is number 3. This structure is actually one of the ones I haven't stopped at too often recently as I got unlucky with the loot one too many times. But from testing again, it seems that you can actually get good enchantments from them. These 3-story roofed mini battle towers have some easily breakable spawners for some quick and easy XP, and usually 2 enchanted books to take from the top loot chest. These books have solid enchantments ranging from fortune and mending to lifesteal and swifter slashes if you are lucky of course. Next is safe structure 4 out of 4, which has perhaps the best enchanted books you can find from a safe and common structure. This structure is none other than the Oasis Village, as I like to call it. The best Oasis Village for enchanted books being this one. You can find enchanted books in a chest on the top floor as well as one on the bottom floor, and the enchantments inside are always pretty solid, especially for a mid-game character. I have walked away from a single one of these structures with lifesteal, envenomed, viper, and mending before. Of course that will happen very rarely, but regardless this structure is completely safe and all the loot is free of any hassle. But now let's move on to the dangerous structures. These structures can potentially have considerably better enchantment books, but they are also pretty dangerous if you're undergeared. The first structure I'm going to cover is the Castle Dungeon. This dungeon has a large amount of enchantment books, both on the lower levels of the dungeon as well as the highest levels. Fun fact, you can just loot the chests on the higher levels with a flying mount and run away if you so choose. The chests, particularly in the lower and mid rooms with bookshelves, tend to have an excess of mid to high tier enchantment books. This dungeon is incredible for a mid-game character, and isn't that dangerous compared to some other dungeons because it only has vanilla enemies. The second dangerous location is the Nether Wither Dungeon. These dungeons tend to have a couple incredibly powerful enchantments hidden in the final treasure chest rooms, usually around advanced power, multi-shot, or like advanced sharpness tiers. These dungeons are very action-packed and you can get a lot of XP from them on top of the great loot and enchantment books. Be warned though, if you don't break the wither spawners fast enough, your game potentially can lag a lot, making you potentially have to leave the area. I would also recommend you have a decent weapon and a dragon's eye before venturing into the nether in RLCraft, as that will make things much easier for you. Next up at Dangerous Enchanted Book Source 3 of 5 is farming bookworms that can be found in the Defiled Lands. Now, why is this dangerous? Well, it's dangerously frustrating when you accidentally hit one of these guys and they all aggro you into the end of time and you lose all your breeding progress. Maybe there's a way to make them forgive you, but I haven't done enough testing to find a way at least. Anyways, bookworm farming is a great and safe-ish way to get enchantment books in endgame. The way bookworms work is when you drop an enchanted book on the ground, the bookworm eats it and gives you a replacement enchanted book after a few minutes. The higher the bookworm's level, the stronger the enchanted book is that it gives you. You level up bookworms by breeding them, and a bookworm's offspring will always be 1 level above one of the parents, and you can see what level a bookworm is with a bookworm analyzer. The max level a bookworm can be is level 30. A golden bookworm is a rare bookworm variant that has a higher chance of giving you treasure enchantments such as mending, but to be honest the gold ones are not necessary, just kind of cool. You breed the bookworms with foul candy, that is very easy to make. Bookworms are super useful for getting rid of your old enchantment books in endgame, but before endgame I would say that there are much faster and better methods of getting good enchantment books, but it wouldn't be a complete enchanting guide without mentioning this in RLCraft. Moving on to dangerous location 4 of 5 is the Crypt Dungeon. This dungeon can have amazing enchantment books on the bottom level, but the main thing this dungeon is notorious for is giving you plenty of armor enchantments. You can walk in here empty-handed and walk out with multiple mending and protection for armor pieces that you can just disenchant at a disenchantment table. The chest loot found throughout also can hold useful enchantment books, but the bottom floor tends to have the higher quality ones. I would say the Crypt Dungeon is the most consistent early to mid-game dungeons that you are going to want to clear for enchanted books. The enemies are all vanilla as well, but beware, as nearly all the enemies will be wearing armor. Needless to say, rune-piercing capabilities and penetration are arguably the best enchantments to use on a weapon when clearing these structures as fast as possible. And last for the locations I will cover is the Doom-like and Lycanite dungeons. Mainly the Doom-like ones though. I would say the Lycanite dungeons are better for mid-tier baubles rather than enchantment books, but you can still find some here. In the Doom-like dungeons, both underwater and on land, you can find great enchantment books, almost on the same level as the Nether Wither dungeon. The Nether tends to give me better enchantments though. The Doom-like dungeons, however, are arguably much easier than the Nether dungeons, and the Doom-like dungeons are nice because you can also find a fairy ring at the same time, which is one of the best, if not the best, baubles in the game. Now, before ending this video, I will briefly talk about 2 more amazing methods to getting enchantment books in RLCraft: enchanting from an enchantment table and disenchanting the items you make, and Librarian Trading. These 2 methods are more of my personal go-to, as scrounging around for enchantment books won't consistently give me exactly what I need, but exploring for books can potentially give instant results, etc. While enchanting at an enchantment table when having limited XP, you should always be using a multitude of different items when enchanting, to check and see if any other grade of item will give you what you want. For instance, if you only want education 3 on your main weapon, you can place a stone rapier, diamond rapier, stone sword, diamond sword, and stone dagger inside the enchantment table box before enchanting anything to see if any of those 5 have education 3 as a result. If not, you can just do a level 1 throwaway enchantment on a book or something else minor to reset the enchantments you get, and keep trying to get education 3 with the 5 weapons. You can also get unlimited unbreaking books by enchanting summoning staff or boss drops such as wraith sigils and disenchanting them, so you can always grab an unbreaking book or 2 as a throwaway enchant if you want to be as efficient as possible and just have the materials laying around. When you finally get the enchantment you want though, in this case let's say education 3 on a stone sword, you can enchant that sword, cross your fingers hoping the enchantment doesn't get overwritten by something lame like crit strike, and then disenchant that stone sword from a disenchantment table. You now have an education 3 book that you can place on your gear, and the only cost was some levels that are easily obtainable in RLCraft. Gearing up will end up costing a lot of XP though in the long run, so going for education 3 early on is a great goal. Clearing a single mega battle tower with education 3 on your weapon not only gives you great loot, but will also get you to over level 120 before you know it. You can also make a mob grinder if you feel like combat is too risky early game, or if you're just lazy. But I won't show you how to do that right now, as adventuring for XP gives you good loot and XP, which I think is overall better. Moving on to the 3rd and last method to getting enchantment books, which also happens to be my personal favorite method: Librarian Trading. You can find these white-shirted villagers in structures all around your world. Pirate coves, villages, oasis villages, underground villages, boats, whatever these are called, kingdoms, port cities, you name it. Villagers can be found in so many places. You can zombify a white-shirted villager in a safe spot and cure it over and over to constantly reset what enchantment books they are selling as well. Remember, hit them with a splash potion of weakness and then right-click them with a golden apple and wait a few minutes. Sometimes it will be a cartographer when you cure it though, which is unlucky, but you can just keep trying. On top of this, similarly to XP farms, you can set up villager breeding farms if you want to save some time. But again, I think adventuring is always best in RLCraft, as there are so many amazing things you still will want to do and want to find even in endgame. Leveling up villagers in RLCraft is super easy, as all you need to do in order to level up a villager is buy one new thing from them that you haven't purchased before. You can also just keep buying the same stuff and they will eventually level up as well. Librarians can be selling literally any enchantment book in the game, even the books that have been disabled by the mod author. You can find anything from Lesser Sharpness 1 to Advanced Mending 5. The possibilities are nearly endless, and I genuinely enjoy the RNG aspect of this trading process. It feels like every librarian I find is a gift. Could be crap, could be great. Some librarians have the same starting enchantments every time depending on where you find them though, such as a Silk Touch villager always being in ship structures, but the second and third enchantments still make the librarians worth leveling up for enchanted books. When you find a cartographer though, with that, I am going to wrap up. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about where to find enchantment books in RLCraft. I didn't cover a few places as they are more RNG for finding books such as end cities or are super rare like the Shivaxi monument or however you say his name, but I feel like I covered most, if not all, of the more notable methods for getting enchantment books in RLCraft. If you can think of one I missed though, let me know down in the comments. I enjoy everyone's input. RLCraft has been out for a while now, and the community is becoming more and more knowledgeable. You guys teach me stuff every day. There is still plenty of mysterious stuff to research and find in this fun and complex mod pack though, and I will continue to search for the answers. Have a wonderful day, gamers. Bye-bye.